Hi there, it's Jeff
And Cassandra.
from RV Parenting. And we recently, as you know, if you've watched any of our videos, we recently trekked off for a month right after buying our RV. And we did a lot of stays where we just stayed a night or two. We did a few stays where we stayed 4 or 5 or more days as well. But we really have some strong opinions about whether or not you should stay just a couple of days in an RV campground, whether that's even worth it or not. There are some pros and cons, and we're going to get into all of that right now.
So how long can you stay at an RV park? Well, that really depends on how long you want to stay. There's weekly options, monthly options, and yearly rates as well.
And that's on top of the nightly options.
And the nightly options, exactly. So for nightly, you'll usually spend about $50 to $100 a night. However, as we discovered when we were in Florida, weeks such as Daytona Bike Week, which happens the first week in March, the rates are going to be anywhere between a third more to all the way half the price as much. So if you're spending $50 a night, they're going to charge you about $100 to $125 a night. So just make sure when you're planning that you look around and see what events are happening. There's going to be a big bikers rally, which I love it, but I don't want to pay the steep price for it.
And when we were traveling across the country, we needed a place to stay that was just happened to be somewhere around where the Talladega, racing stadium is, whatever they call it.
In Alabama, I believe, yeah.
And we didn't care about that. I don't even think there was anything going on. But because the RV campground was in close proximity to the track, the prices were really expensive compared to what they would have been, because it didn't even look like they were particularly nice RV parks. So,
and we were just going to stay one night.
Yeah,
so I mean,
the
we're
rates were astronomical.
It was one of those that was well over $100, and we're just staying the night. We're not even going to dump.
So bear those kinds of things in mind when you're looking at rates.
And that brings us to weekly rates. Now, what I love about weekly rates is typically an RV park or resort will give you one of the nights free. So if you stay for 6 nights, you'll find that the 7th night is actually, you're not paying for it. So there's a lot of benefits to staying week-long excursions if you have the time and availability to do that. And in monthly, the rates even go down even lower because they want you to stay. They're like,
would you call that a baker's fortnight?
Maybe. So as you can tell, there's lots of options. It depends on your availability, where you want to go, and how long you want to stay. And just know that the longer you stay, the more money you save. However, look out for bike rallies, because that's where they're going to get you.
So there are some benefits to staying in an RV park just a couple of days, anywhere from 1 to 3 days. And we definitely did that on this trip, although we kind of came away, before I get into the benefits, we kind of came away feeling like it's better in most cases to stay for 4 or more days.
Yeah.
And we'll get into some of those in just a second, like the benefits of staying a longer period of time. But there are some benefits to staying short term.
And this is like 1 to 3 days. It's just a quick little getaway.
Yeah. So for starters, if you don't know the campground ahead of time, there's benefit in only staying there a short period of time in case it's not a very good RV campground. And after all, there's tons of campgrounds out there that aren't great. That, most of them have full hookups. A lot of them claim to have Wi-Fi, although if you've seen any other videos of ours, you know that's my number one pet peeve usually. But also, these RV campgrounds, their websites are way dated in most cases.
Which is a sensitive subject for Jeff.
You can't tell from the images if it's beautiful or not. We stayed at a campground outside of Columbia, South Carolina, and the website looked really nice, the images and things like that. And the main loop of the campground, Loop 1 they called it, was really scenic. However, they had built a second loop, Loop 2, that was basically just an overflow, and it was basically a gravel parking lot right next to the highway. They did have full hookups, but the Wi-Fi didn't reach over there. It wasn't scenic at all. And it
was far away from Columbia.
Yeah.
We were northwest of Columbia.
I mean, that's
not
on
near
us
anything.
for not looking at the map better. But the campground itself was not great. And we didn't know that when we booked it, and you couldn't tell that from looking at the website. So if you are just staying a short time and the campground's not great, that's a benefit, because then you're on to the next one, hopefully a better one. Some of the other perks of staying short term is that you do get to see more places. Mm-hmm. If you're just going to 1 to 3 nights at a bunch of places, you can see a whole bunch of country in a relatively short period of time.
And there's so much to see.
As opposed to just staying in one spot for 4 to 7 days, and then another spot for 4 to 7 days. So you get to see a whole lot more things, and of course you get to meet a lot more people, because a lot of the time the people at the campgrounds where RVs park, they're very friendly, they're engaging. A lot of them are, dog lovers. Some of them are retirees, but some of them have kids, and you meet a lot of interesting people. And so, of course, the more campgrounds you're staying at, the more likely it is you're going to make some lifelong friends in that camper next to you.
Yeah, and travelers love to share travel stories, especially RVers. Like, so when did your rig first break down, or just things of that. So it's nice because you become a part of this club that you didn't know you could be a part of. Especially at our age, it's like we're not older, we have a family, and so to be part of this other subgroup is just, I don't know, it's a lot of fun.
Did you just say I'm not older? That's awesome.
I think you get merits because I'm younger. We balance each other out. And this brings us to what's the benefits of staying 4 to 7 days, which I prefer to do. Honestly, I don't mind the quick excursions, but what I love about staying somewhere for a lengthy amount of time is that we're not in the RV driving the whole time. And I love the road. I love being on the open road, seeing the mountains, the plains, all of it. I welcome it all. But being in any vehicle, whether it's an airplane, a train, a car, RV with, 3 kids, your husband driving, 2 dogs, it's exhausting, it's tiring. So it's nice to just kind of stop somewhere, breathe, make it home, and get cozy. Other things we really liked about it is you get to explore the area. What we loved about going to St. Augustine is we stayed there and we got to learn so much about and I know I talk about St. Augustine all the time. It just holds a special place in my heart. Once you've been, you'll understand. So please go.
Oldest city in America.
Oldest city in America. It's just we were able to explore the history of the town, kind of see a little bit more of the culture of Florida outside of Disney World, because that's really why we go to Florida. It gave us an all-around experience of the town, and we weren't just doing the hiking trails. We were going to the forts and just visiting the local shops, and it was really nice. And you also get a lot less wear and tear on your RV when you just kind of park it, because yes, they're technically motor homes or mobile homes where you can move, but things shift and move, and cabinets and drawers. It's better if you can be stationary for your RV. The wear and tear, it definitely does affect it. Not in a bad way, but just things are going to move and they're going to and shift.
And one of the things that we like to do when we're going to be in a town for 4 or more days is rent a car. And I know some of you may be towing a car behind your RV, or some of you may be in an RV that you're towing behind your pickup. We don't like to tow vehicles. We'd rather not rent them if we're just going to be in a campground for 1 or 2 nights, and do rent them if we're going to be there for 4 or more days.
Yeah, and for me personally, I drive a 2012 Chevy Traverse, which I love dearly, but the idea of being out on the road with her, and she breaks down, she's in the shop, and for me, it's one more thing I don't have to worry about. I love my car, and I want her to last 300,000 miles.
Well, and let's be honest, our RV does not get very good gas mileage to begin with.
Yeah.
And you slap a vehicle on the back of that thing, and
you're getting like 1 to 2 miles per gallon. So just, it adds up. It adds up.
And we don't need a car in every town that we go to. So we just kind of cherry pick. Oh yeah, this would be a great town to rent a car in and, drive around. And we look for a car rental place that's near the campground, and it's easy, and we drop it off when we're ready to move on to another city.
Yeah, for instance, we drove down into New Orleans. We didn't have a car. We just drove our RV as far as we could get it to the French Quarter and just walked around. So you can, don't let not having a car deter you from going into cities and tooling around.
But if you're going to be at a place for several days, it's kind of a hassle to bring the slide outs in, disconnect the hookups every time you want to go get food for the family.
Mm-hmm. So is it cheaper to stay in an RV or at a hotel?
Well, it's a great question. Really, it depends on the frequency that you travel. We know from our recent trip to Denver, staying in a hotel, that, we were spending upwards of $200 a night, maybe?
Yeah, but we also had 2 rooms too, but you're going to spend at least $100
well, we got a family
of
5. The family of 5 can fit in our RV comfortably, can't fit in one hotel room comfortably. But of course, if you're just looking at the nightly fee, as you said, campgrounds are going to range anywhere from $50 to $100 a night, maybe, upwards of $200 if you're talking about a resort.
And then less if you're staying at a state or national park as well. So.
But probably 50 to 75 is more going to be the average. And unless you're staying at Motel 6s and things like that, you're not going to find a hotel room anywhere near that price. So on a nightly basis, the RV definitely wins.
For sure.
If you're looking at this big picture, you got to look at all of the costs of RV ownership. There's your monthly payment, essentially a mortgage payment. There's insurance and registration, gas, maintenance and upkeep, and that's on top of the campground parking fees. So, if you're not traveling with any regularity, the hotel is probably the better way to go.
I mean, we do travel frequently, but we like the flexibility of, do we want to travel by air? Do we want to travel by land or sea? So we get that, and it's a great luxury to have and to be affordable to do. And as our other videos state, the RV, can be a guest home. It's not just a place for you to travel. So it really depends on what type of lifestyle you're wanting to live in an RV. Are you wanting to be weekend warriors? Is this going to be something you do for 6 months to a year? Are you selling everything that you own and just going out into the great wilderness and unknown? Whatever it is, just kind of really envision the life that you want and make it happen.
We were in Denver on January 1st of this year, and the reason we didn't drive our RV and the reason we flew and stayed in a hotel is because I didn't want to be driving our 34-foot RV across New Mexico and Colorado in the middle of winter. I didn't know what the roads would be like. I didn't know if everything we wanted to do would be passable. I didn't know if it would compromise safety. We didn't know. And we also really didn't have enough time in our schedules to get there and back in the RV. So there are options and times where both are right.
Yes, so just kind of decide what kind of life, what future do you see yourself doing as a traveler, and just jump into it, go for it.
Anyway, I hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed us sharing our thoughts with you about how long you should stay at an RV campground. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. It sends a great signal to YouTube. They're going to love us more if you do. And then smash that subscribe button and the bell notification button too. But with that, we'll see you in the next video.